I'm a little bit tired. I was just about to go to bed, but then I saw that Styx Hexenhammer had left me a video treat, so I thought I'd respond. I mean, if I lack my usual energy and dynamic, charming personality, it's because I'm sleepy. But I guess I could have waited for tomorrow, but I'd rather focus on other things. Rather just get this out of the way now. So this is the amazing atheist insinuates that I threatened him by pointing out the dumbness of rioting. Okay, so let's take a look at the comments here. So we have the full context going in. So I said, you know what I find to be a marvel? American people are ripping an American city apart, and a huge chunk of Americans are sympathetic to them. And not one conservative person is even remotely curious why. They literally do not care what is causing this. You know, and I base the idea that a lot of people are sympathetic to this cause on the fact that I put out a video where I expressed sympathy, and I didn't expect when I made that video it was going to be popular. But huge outpouring of support for what I was saying, even though I thought, like, this is a pretty fringe idea. I discovered it really wasn't all that fringe to say that maybe these protesters have kind of a point. And also just like the number of people on Twitter, who are supportive of it. Now, I don't know. It's going to be a while before we have a general sense of like how the majority of Americans feel about it, right? We're not going to know that for a while. But it's pretty obvious that a healthy chunk of this country is not looking at this and feeling super bad for Target and AutoZone and CNN headquarters and whatever else. There's a lot of people out there who are very sympathetic towards these rioters. I am among them. But Styx doesn't think so. He says, the only people sympathizing with the looting, rioting, miscreant horde are leftists who think that this is their opportunity to stage some sort of dumb revolution. Everyone else sympathizes with Floyd and the community and thinks burning down the city is unhelpful. I feel like there's tons of voices, even mainstream voices, that are supportive of what's going on. Now that you might not like that, right? You can disagree with that. You can think like, oh, this is the most unproductive sort of, behavior possible. They're destroying their own community, blah, 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 blah. I don't care. You can think whatever you want. My point is not, hey, you have to agree with this. My point is that, a lot of people do agree with this. So maybe you should be curious why that is. Maybe you should wonder instead of just, you just prove the fucking point, right? Like, oh, it's just leftists, just a bunch of dumb leftists. Normal people feel this way. It's like the two Americas thing again. It's like, we're the real America and we feel this way, that kind of bullshit. And everyone who disagrees is like, oh, that's just some fringe. Don't worry about them. That's just the fringe. It's not just the fringe. I know you want it to be. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it is just the fringe. Like I said, we don't have the numbers yet. We can wait for some actual polling data to come out. But I said to him, I think the fact there's enough protesters in this city to stage this sort of civil disobedience attests otherwise. And then he comes back at me with this non sequitur. He says, so looting and arson become justified if enough people join in? Like, did I say that? I mean, we're arguing about whether or not there's a large chunk of people who sympathize with these tactics. And I said to him, like, the fact that there's enough people doing the rioting to cause this sort of widespread damage in the first place and to push the cops out of neighborhoods, to actually take over a police precinct building. Why would there wouldn't be that number of people doing that if this sentiment wasn't widespread? Because for everyone who has the balls to go out and do it, there's like 1,000 people sitting at home cheering it on, right? At least. But, we're not making I wasn't trying to make some moral argument like, oh, if enough people do it, then it's good. Like, this is not about that. But remember, the first post is, hey, with all of these people on board with this, maybe you should have some intellectual curiosity about it. And your response is, It's basically it, right? Like this entire, all these this giant paragraph, I guess it's not a giant paragraph, but this paragraph here might as well just be, And then I'm like, well, there's a lot of people involved in the protest themselves. So, like, obviously no one's supporting the protests more than the protesters, and there's a lot of them. So how do you explain that? Oh, thank you for the notification. I appreciate that. Not trying to make a video or anything. You just pop up whenever you want. And then he says, wonder how well that'll work for your little property if problems arise there, wherever you are. Now, I read that, and I was like, is he threatening me? Is this a threat right now? Because it kind of feels like maybe it's a threat. Kind of feels like, the goon, like the gangster from a movie, like, be a shame if something was to happen to you, Hate to see you get hurt. That's how I read it. I don't know. Now, maybe I'm a paranoid guy. Maybe maybe I should have been more charitable in my interpretation. But that's kind of how I read it. And so I pointed that out. I'm just like, yeah, it seems like a veiled threat to me, bro. Nice veiled threat, I said. Man, he got pissed about that. He got pissed. He wrote like 10 comments to me, like, like, okay, all right, fine. It wasn't a threat. He's like, I would never fucking stoop to the level of you disgusting leftists. I don't threaten people. We don't threaten people on my side. Okay, fuck, I'm sorry. Okay, I get it. Okay? I read it bad. I read it wrong. I read it in the wrong voice, Because, you were saying it like, I wonder how you were basically trying to say, like, well, how would you feel if it was your property on the line, But you worded it all fucking weird, like no normal person would fucking word it. Wonder how that will work for your little property if problems arise there, wherever you are. I think it was the wherever you are thing that really was like, huh? Because it's almost like saying, like, I don't know where you live, but, maybe someone could find out. I don't know. So I apologize if I was wrong. I didn't know that you were going to get so upset about me calling it. But, like, the whole thing is I said nice veiled threat. And a veiled threat, by its very nature, is a threat that you leave enough plausible deniability that you're actually threatening the person, right? So you say something that could be interpreted as a threat, but that's not the only interpretation, right? And then if you're called on it, you just, me threaten you? You fucking ridiculous. Like it's like, what's that gangster going to say? Hope nothing bad happens to you. Is like, is that a threat? No, I'm just concerned for your fucking health, buddy. You got to loosen up. Right? So, I don't know. But whatever. I'll take your word. Very well. That's the context. Let's see the video.
All right, everyone. If you've watched my channel for, more than a little while, you know that I generally hate e-drama and I avoid it at all costs. I've called it out before because creators will attack each other, and it's unhelpful usually because they should be combined.
But this time it's helpful. This time it's super helpful.
Forces and focusing on the dreg media, the legacy media, authoritarian politicians, and so forth. And
the authoritarian politicians like the one you endorse, right? That guy? I mean, like, the whole reason we had this fucking little spat on Twitter in the first place, I don't know if you remember this, is because I went after your daddy, Donald Trump, because he said that, when the looting starts, the shooting starts. Another veiled threat that he later went on to deny. That's not what I meant. Seems to be a little pattern. I don't know. Hey, what am I saying? I don't know what I'm saying.
Especially,
Ignore me, I'm tired.
I would say tech censorship. But I gotta call somebody out. And it's not something that I find pleasant, but, you know, when you have this
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
particular kind of insinuation...
Oh, yeah. That's all I got. Oh, yeah. Cool ring, though.
To dissuade others from, you know...
You know, people always want to make fun of Styx's fashion sense and shit, you know? I dig it, man. Edgelord to edgelord. I dig the leather jacket. But, like, man, what is the rest of this fucking set you got going on? You got, like, a stick and, like, a barren shelf. It doesn't even seem like it should fucking be there because it's, like, holding, like, two things. There's, like, a little statue of you, and then there's, like, some like, a spray bottle. And I can't tell what that is in the very back. And then you got some sad flag, and then you got all this horrible, just white space. And, just look very barren and drab, you know? You know, you need to learn to... You're already getting good views, right? You know? Really good. But you need to sell the sizzle, not the steak, right? There's no sizzle here. You don't even have a good microphone. I mean, let's be real.
Things, I think I'll use this as an example. The Amazing Atheist. Now, preface to...
But no, I do. Like, I just feel like... I'm not trying to insult you with that. That's constructive criticism, all right? I just think you could have, like, a more lush kind of set going on behind you, right? You know? Like, you know, put some things on that shelf, you know? Get something going on that wall. Get some color going. You know, you dress very, like, you like to dress in black. You know? You're very white. So get some color behind you. Make you pop, you know? I mean, you're getting good views. You should be making good money. You could put a little bit of that back into the fucking set. Put a little bit of that back in the microphone. Put a little bit of that back in the camera. You know? These are helpful hints.
To this, I subscribe to his material and I do watch it, and I do enjoy the dude's making.
Enjoy my what? Did you say he enjoyed my pussy making? Do I make pussies?
Enjoy the dude's video making.
Oh, video making. How'd I hear pussy? I must have pussy on the brain. I'm sorry.
But he made a post that he probably shouldn't have made, which is that on a
Oops.
thread, and there's a link in the description to this thread.
I know it's only probably. I probably shouldn't have made it. He's holding out hope. There's an off chance I should have made it. You know, that's good. Seems like some real fair benefit of the doubt level shit.
I was responding to him. He was talking about property damage and the substance of these riots happening in Minneapolis and, of course, now other places, too. And he's like,
yeah, it's weird how that fucking super unpopular riot is, like, spreading across the country, man. You know? It's really weird. I guess you still don't want to, like, question that at all, though. Like, you don't want to say, like, maybe there's reasons why this is happening. Nope, just, it's the left. Horrible, evil left. They're just bad.
Cares.
No way they could have any kind of point. It's impossible.
Because it's corporations and stuff. And I pointed out, you know, if it was your home, because these rioters aren't intelligent enough to care the difference between a megacorp and your home.
Right.
They obviously don't, because they're rioting thugs.
How many homes have they burned down? Like, I haven't heard of the rioters burning down any homes. I know they burnt down an under construction housing development. You know, I don't remember hearing about burning down any houses. Now maybe they have. I don't know. I mean, you know, there's been the last few days have been just like jam packed with stories, like a dizzying whirlwind of shit going on in multiple cities across the country. And obviously, when you are talking about a riot, you know, I know you want to just like plaster them all with like one, like, oh, they're all just scumfuck rioting pieces of shit. Like, oh, you know, so you're not making any distinction between like the peaceful protesters and the rioters and the looters and, you know, the people who are out there yelling at the police, people who are out there, you know, giving water bottles to one another. And, you know, it's really weird, too, because weren't you like a big fan of that whole like Hong Kong thing where people were doing real similar shit? Whatever. It doesn't matter. I mean, it does, but I know you're not going to like, you're not going to give me any fucking, like, you're not sitting there with a checklist like, oh, TJ made a good point against me there. Oh, yes, I did support the Hong Kong riots, but now I mysteriously don't think riots are a good tactic when they're happening in my backyard. Okay. Maybe you didn't. I don't know. I mean, did you support the Hong Kong riots? I could be talking out my ass right now, right? Let me see. I'm going to find out. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me get back to your channel. I should have just opened a new tab from the same channel. I'm just dumb. Okay. So let's do this.
All right, everyone, if you're seeing...
Shh. Quiet. I'm trying to search your channel. Hong Kong riots. Commie crackdown in Hong Kong as police deploy live ammo. Ignore the illegitimate Chinese government and back the Hong Kong protesters. Okay.
All right, everyone, it's time to talk.
All right, so let me see. I mean, the protesters in Hong Kong got pretty violent too, right? Did they burn shit? I don't know. Let me check. I don't know. Maybe they were really peaceful. Let's see. I see tear gas. Is there fires? That looks like fire. What's going on there? No more violence on both sides. Okay, so I guess they're saying that both sides used violence as a tactic there. I see some people running away from... Oh, there's another fire thing. Doesn't look like it's all that different from what was going on here. These were protesters, right? I see lots of fires. I see lots of people fighting each other, throwing fucking tear gas at one another. Huh. And yet, it seems like you backed them, didn't think they were mindless thugs with no point. But when it's happening here in your own country, over an event that you say, you admit yourself is fucked up, seems like you don't really back the protesters now. That's interesting. I don't know. I mean, you could explain the difference to me sometime, maybe.
If it were his home, it would be interesting to see what the reaction would be if his home had been torched.
Right. Okay. That argument. Okay. Cool. Good argument, buddy. So check this out. So as far as me misinterpreting your tweet, if I did, I'm sorry. I really am. But you worded it really fucking weird, man. Because you could have just as easily... I mean, like, if you would have said, how would you feel if your home was threatened by such riots? I never would have in a million years interpreted that as any sort of threat, veiled or otherwise. You know? So, and that's like, I feel like that's how 99.9% of people would have come at me if they wanted to make that point. Like, well, you might not feel the same if it was your property. Okay. Fair enough point. I understand that rhetorical tactic. But you worded it fucking weird, man. And I read it weird. Maybe I read it weird. Maybe I shouldn't put the blame on you. I'm not trying to fucking shame you or anything. But, yeah, I mean, I read it in the way that I described at the beginning of this video. People can decide for themselves whether or not that was a fair fucking way to interpret it or to conceivably, to ask questions about it even. But, okay, so like if that's what you're trying to say, then here's my rebuttal to that. I hate this fucking argument. It reminds me of a tactic you guys like to use a lot. Now, I'm confused, Sticks, because you're a conservative. And yet I see you all the time on Twitter. I'm not a conservative. Don't call me a conservative. Okay, what the fuck are you? Like, I don't know what to fucking call you then. Because, I mean, like, everything you say is conservative. So I'm really confused when you're like, I am no conservative, sir. So I guess you don't want to be lumped in with conservatives. But this is a very conservative fucking argument, right? Because trying to take it to some emotional place. Trying to fucking shut down the reason switch and make it about some emotional thing. Like, every time it's the death penalty. Like, I oppose the death penalty. Conservative counter-arguments like, well, what if your mom got murdered? How would you feel then? Like, you want to introduce emotional compromise into things so that I have to, like, oh, wow, that's true. What if my house was burned down instead of the Walmart? Right? Like, what? I don't fucking see the connection, man. I don't see the connection between a group of people burning down the Target and a group of people burning down like a random private residence. Like, fuck this house where someone lives. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like I said, maybe, hold on. Like, I don't think I'm going to get the answer to this, but I'll at least look it up. Homes burned in Minneapolis riot. Let's see. Minnesota officials announced response to violent safety concerns as fires burn. Photos of protests. List of buildings damaged, looted in Minneapolis. This will be updated as more reports come in. A barber shop, Hibachi Grill, Wells Fargo, commercial building, USPS. Holiday 36th and Cedar. Maybe that's a residence. I haven't looked this up in advance, by the way. No, it's a Holiday Inn. It looks like. Is it? Is that a Holiday Inn? Cedar, Minneapolis. I'm just finding Holiday Inns, so I don't know. Matt's Bar, Subway, EL Market, Nugent Architects, Pantry Food House, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Holiday Hennepin and 25th. Five Guys Hennepin. I think Holiday is the name of a business because there's multiple of those. Human Services, Dollar General, Taco, Pineda Tacos? Maybe the cook lives in the kitchen? I don't know. So here's the housing development we talked about earlier, but no one was living there. 7 Sigma building. I don't know. Maybe that might be another apartment or something. I mean, maybe this list isn't going to get into the houses if houses were damaged. It seems like Turf Club. Like, I don't know. Like I said, maybe this list just isn't getting into the private residences shit, but I have not seen a report about a private residence being attacked. I'm unable to find instances of a house being attacked. Maybe someone got a window broken or something. I don't know. But, yeah, I can't find any evidence of that. So I feel like there's a big difference between the protesters are burning down or looting or throwing bricks through the window of Target and, Tim Hortons or whatever the fuck, and they're burning down people's houses. Like, I feel like there's a line there. Now, you can think both are bad, and that's understandable, but they're not the same, right? I don't think many people, like, if they burned down a house, I would have heard it from you guys, right? I would have heard, like, oh my God, the protesters, not only are they out there destroying business, they just burned down this old woman's house. You'd be the first one to let me know if that happened, right? So, maybe it'll happen. Maybe it'll happen tomorrow. Maybe you'll get lucky and the fucking protesters are going to fucking start attacking private residences for some reason. Just like, fuck this house. I don't know. It could happen.
Now, no reason.
But, yeah, like, getting back to the point, though, like, this whole like, well, you feel this way now, but what if you were emotionally compromised by, your own personal involvement in the stakes? I don't know. I don't know what to tell you in that. Yeah, I'm against the death penalty, but if someone murders my mom, maybe I'm going to want him killed. Yeah. Is that hypocrisy? No, that's just called being emotionally compromised and unable to think objectively about the situation. If a fucking mob of protesters all of a sudden descended on my house and decided, like, fuck this random house, we've had enough of this house's bullshit. If they just decide to do that, I guess I'd be sad, and I guess I'd say, man, these protesters, that was mean of them to do. Is that what you want? Is that your victory? Okay. Good job, buddy. You nailed it.
Reasonable person would construe this as a threat. I'm making a point about the composition of riots. Rioters don't care whether you're working class or rich. They don't care. They're more likely to attack some lower or middle class home because it doesn't have a security fence around it.
What? Well, no, because they haven't done that. Like, we just went through, like, find me the home they've done it to. Like, okay, look, I'm putting this out there. I haven't like done some deep dive, like the amount of research I've just done. Just like maybe you can fucking destroy me on this. Maybe you can fucking give me a list of like, here's the private residences that the fucking mob, the angry mob, has attacked. They've just gone through these neighborhoods and attacked random fucking houses of people. Maybe you've got that. And I sound like a fucking idiot right now, and you're just going to fucking blow me out of the water. If that's the case, then maybe you got something of a fucking point. But I haven't seen it. Like, I haven't seen the news report. We just looked for it. I can't find it. I feel like you would have mentioned it if that specific thing had happened, because I think that would turn a lot of people against. Maybe not the entirety of the protests, but at least the individual protesters who are doing that. And okay, I'll throw it out there. If any of the protesters, if any of the rioters, if any of the revolutionaries, if whatever the fuck you want to call them, if any of them have attacked private residences, then I condemn those particular protesters or rioters. That's my response. I don't think they should be attacking people's houses. Okay? There. I've done it. I think that crosses the line.
When do these people go to the Rockefellers neighborhood and start rioting? Have you ever seen that happen?
No, but I'd like to. That'd be cool, right? Would you be down with it then? Would you support them like you did the Hong Kong protesters if they did that? Would that be like a cool moment? Like you and I could like high five and stuff and like have like a bro moment. Like, dude, they're going after the fucking Rockefellers now. Like, because if you'd be down, I'm down for that. If you're down for that, I don't know. You were just sucking off. You were in the Twitter comments the other day, fucking sucking the dick of a private enterprise. No, not private enterprise, private property. Oh, who are you leftists to tell people how much private property they can own, right? So I don't know why you're now shitting on the Rockefellers. I mean, but yeah. Like if they want to go. If they want to go fucking fuck with some rich people, yeah, cool. I'm down with it. We can both enjoy that together, maybe.
Do they go and target people that actually own billion-dollar corporations? No, they'll kill off the business front. They'll burn Walmart to the ground, but they won't go after the Walton family.
Yeah, I think the Walton family is probably pretty well protected. Are you advocating they go after the Walton family? Like, wait, this is really weird. You're like, oh, they'll go after the Walmart, but not the Walton family. Like, you see these animals, they'll attack, property, but they won't go murder rich people. They call that a revolution? Like, which way are we going with this? Like, are you mad they're not leftist enough? Okay. I don't know. I'm confused.
They'll burn the Walmart where hundreds and hundreds of lower wage workers rely on for their paycheck. Now they're out and they're fucked probably because they don't have a fallback, but that's okay. It's just a corporation.
Oh, yeah, it's so hard to find a fucking job that pays as good as Walmart, Now, I know right now we're having a little bit of an unemployment crisis because of COVID and shit, but like under most circumstances, it's not really that hard to nail a job at fucking Walmart. By the way, thanks to the unemployment bill that the Senate and Congress unanimously passed, those people are going to probably get more money from unemployment than they would have got working at Walmart by a lot. I asked the people in my audience. I actually knew there was actually people in my audience in my comment section that were like, yeah, I worked at one of these places that got destroyed and I'm fucking happier than a pig in shit. I love it. I don't know. I'm not saying that everybody who works at the Target or the fucking AutoZone is happy about it. And I said in my video that I have sympathy for the wage slaves, of course, because I feel like they've been exploited for a long time. I think it's brutal, the quasi-subsistence income that they're expected to live on while, my dad used to tell me, you'll never get rich working for somebody else, right? No, that's not 100% true. I think you can get rich working for someone else if you're like a super skilled employee or something, but for the most part, you can't do that, Maybe if you're like, you're an NBA basketball player. Okay, yeah, you can get rich. But the average person, they can't really get rich. You can't get rich working at Walmart. You can't get rich working at fucking Target. You can't get rich working at AutoZone. That's gonna get you not even by, if we're honest. And it's a miserable existence, and these people have no say whatsoever in how these companies are run. Even if the CEO of the company wants to enforce a bad decision that every employee working there knows is stupid and knows is not going to be effective. Like, I talk to people, man. Like, don't you talk to people? Don't you talk to people that work regular fucking jobs? Like, I had friends that worked at bookstores. Like, I had a friend who worked at Borders before that shit closed, And every day it was just like, man, Borders fucking sucks. And now they're making us do, she would always list, here's the horrible thing they're making us do now that fucking doesn't work and is driving the company down the toilet, but they make us do it. And then we just have no fucking recourse, and they pay us fucking shit. And we're, I can't even fucking pay my bills on this shit, and it's just like, you really think these workers have any sort of real sympathy? Like, when Borders closed down, she wasn't like, oh no, my job. Like, to some extent she was, I'll admit it. But for the most part, she was like, good, fuck Borders. I'm glad. She probably wouldn't have been glad if she realized just what a parachute the CEO of that company probably gave himself. But, anyway, I just think it's weird. This idea that I'm so concerned about these poor workers. Well, okay, great. If you're concerned and I'm concerned, then let's you and me join forces, and instead of fighting the fucking evil corporate media or whatever the fucking shit you said at the beginning of this, why don't we fight for the fucking workers? Fight to get them better wages. Fight to get them a stake in the companies that they work for. Fight to give them a voice in the companies they work for. And try to change things from the workers, for the workers across the fucking board. Right? Can't we, I don't understand. What's the opposition, man? If you're concerned about them, you love them, you want them to fucking prosper and be happy, then let's fucking get together and do some things to fucking help the workers out and stop fucking sucking the dick of the Rockefellers, right? Right.
It's sort of like when people say that the economy is just my stonks or my 401ks. Anyway, he thought that it was a veiled threat. He said, ooh, it sounds like you're insinuating a threat there. Again, read through the message there. I didn't do this yourself.
Yeah, I just did. I did. I read through it. I read through it with other people. I explained why I thought it was a threat. And, if it wasn't, I'm sorry. But, it kind of came across like one.
I'm calling you out on this one because I know that you're not unintelligent. And so
thank you. Wow. That's very flattering. Let's end on that note, right? Let's just end there. You're not unintelligent. Thanks. All right. We're done. I've explained enough to you. No, we can keep going. I want to give your whole, because I've watched the video you just did, when I was sitting out on the porch smoking a cigarette before I was just about to go to bed. I'm gonna go smoke this cigarette and I'm gonna go to bed. And then I saw this. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And I watched it. I'm like, all right, I guess I gotta go respond to this. So I know that you really don't say anything else in the video, but I guess we can go through it.
To assume that you're
just because if I fucking stop here, it's I'm gonna be up all fucking night. It's already 6 a.m. I've already been up all night. I gotta go. All right. You don't fucking say you shake in fear of the remaining 6 minutes of my video. You don't say anything. We both know it. You just reiterate these points over and over. Eventually, you just kind of trail off into some other subject that I didn't even whatever. But anybody can go check it out and see for themselves. Yeah, that's it. Have a good one, Sticks. Thanks for responding to me. I appreciate your input. And once again, sorry about that. Didn't mean to offend. Okay, it was an honest mistake. Peace.